Hello, my name is Achterberg, also known as Perl. I work for iAnnounce. We provide a platform for newspapers to publish family announcements online. Currently, we have the world's largest announcements archive of announcements. Sorry, I'm normally not this nervous. Works as following: clients usually provide us with XML that contains the announcements data or we pull it from them. We get a new client, and they could only provide us with very limited XML. Most of the data they can only provide in EPS. That kind of annoyed us. This is what that would look like, so we would have to get the name out of that EPS. Problem with this is EPSs are written in postscripts. It's a postfix language, and postscript doesn't know what the real character is. It knows what a glyph is, and the glyph is defined in a font to be rendered in a certain way, so a character can look different depending on which font you use. There are some conversion tools on Linux which can convert it to text, but we had a problem, for instance, with the U and the umlaut. They do not support that because this doesn't give us information of what the name would be, because we do not know how big the text is and if it's bold or not. So I had to learn postscript, which is kind of thinking like Yoda. There are some more problems. EPS doesn't know how to display a character inside itself if it's outside the ASCII range. It gives it an octal number, which is an index into a list of glyphs for that font, and then you can map it to the correct glyph. And this is what a font definition would look like. So in this case, the 232 would map to O diaeresis, which is the O umlaut, and Adobe luckily gave us mapping so we could map the glyph to the correct Unicode. So I had to write a small prologue, which you would feed to GoScript, so you could override certain core functions, and then you would override the display functions and basically have to dump a bunch of information about each string fragment to stand it out. That worked, but some EPS software redefines their internal fonts, and then it would all look like scrambled text or kind of like Perl, and that suddenly it was not usable. My conversion didn't work anymore. It was kind of frustrating. So I managed to modify the prologue to, for each character, display the glyph font standard out instead, and then I could just map that. So if you have a line like just another bus on the wall, to stay with Pink Floyd, it would look like the red text. So because you have the glyph, you don't need to care about which font it is, because you know how to map it to the Unicode, and the glyph is always correct. So then it was easy because you could use Perl to run GoScript and capture the output that it generated, and then see, okay, which is my largest line? Is it bold? Is it kind of in the center of the page? Then it's probably the name. And then we would convert it and return the strings. Now I wrote a little module for that, that's on CPAN. It's very limited, it only does basic mapping and conversion from, for instance, the octal to the glyph, or the glyph to the character. It's basically only a utility module, but I expect to do some more with it. So direct EPS to text, or just get the entire EPS to text with correct positioning, and maybe some give it in an XML format, or render it as an HTML page. I'm not sure if that would be useful, but if there are people who are forced to work with PostScript by some evil force, let me know if this would be of use to you. And that's it.